to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Welcome to season 2. It's year 2, y'all. I'm gonna keep sequential, so it's 53. But here we go. We've made it a whole calendar year. The 4 tiles have not changed. We've all changed a little bit of background, but we've all been the same. The tiles are still here. So welcome. Let's get the evening started. As always, I will go ahead and introduce everyone and ask them how they're doing. This evening, Clyde, sir, how are you today?
I'm good. It's still weird that it's season 2, though.
I know. It is.
Season 2.
It really is. It's so funny. I look at our previous videos and we've grown up in our videos. So like we look at our kids and they look different. Like we've literally grown up. So grown up, not out, thank goodness. Lamar is just Lamar tonight. How are you today, sir?
Just Lamar. I'm actually doing very, very well. I'm excited to see you guys tonight. Kind of missed y'all.
Is it me or does it feel like last week's recording seemed a really long time ago?
Yeah, it seems like it's at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. I'm not gonna lie.
Like I've been in 4 states since we did the last one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do that yourself. None of us want to sign up for 4 different states.
I know.
Last but definitely not least, Sir Lucious, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm well.
Yes.
Like I told you earlier, I got my second shot, so I'm a little drowsy, but other than that, I'm good. I'm good.
We'll keep you up for just enough time, and then we'll let you pass
Absolutely. I'll fight through it, I promise
out. So,
7 more shots, you'll be like 50.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
I'm good.
Stop it. Anyhow, so in true track season fashion, track is back. What are we talking about from this last weekend?
I mean, the show of the weekend was down in Gainesville. That's obvious. That was very obvious. And if you ask me who won the weekend, depending on what slant you want to take, no matter how you want to slice it, for me, Joseph Fambule won the weekend. It was amazing. It was ugly at times, but the boy put on a show one way or the other. So it was wildly entertaining. And those that were fortunate enough to see it in person, I'm sure we all want some backstories to some of that. But I'll tell you, it was a hell of a thing to watch on the internet and on YouTube. So that's where I'm starting. Joseph Fambule won the weekend.
The meet was great. There were a lot of great performances. Joseph did run very well. I'll give him credit for that. There were some other great performances. Claire Bryant, 21-11 in the long jump. Clayton Brown, 7-3 in the high jump. Like Thomas Mardell, I thought the hammer was going to go outside of the, it's like 77 meters or something. I don't know what it was, but it was far. He broke our school record by like 6 feet or something crazy.
Wow.
The women's 400, just watching them come down the straightaway together was, phenomenal. And, Dwight St. Hilaire in the men's 400 looked phenomenal. I mean, just absolutely. I think it was 44.70 something. Just looked incredible. So there was a lot of good stuff there. A lot. Terry 11.08.
That's what I was gonna say. As great as the Texas relays were, and they were, the Florida relays, if you go on TFRS, Florida relays meet has rewritten the top 5, and in most cases took over the number 1 spots in most of these events. So a hell of a show down there.
Yeah, I mean, there's the young lady from Alabama, 20. I think she was 22.50 in the 200.
Tamara Clark.
Yeah, Tamara Clark. And then the women's hurdle race, there was a Anna Cockle-site on both hurdles. She was 55 in the middle, and then came back the next day and ran 12.80 something and looked really good doing it. Standing there before the race, and somebody said, "Who's going to win?" I was like, "I'll let you know at hurdle 3. If Anna's close, they got no shot." And then she was close. So.
My takeaway from Florida relays is the number 7. 7 women from USC that ran under 53 seconds in 400.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen an embarrassment of that level of riches one other time. I actually was standing on the track at Florida Relays and watched 2 separate 4x4s at the University of Florida racing each other run under 305. And I thought to myself, that's incredible. I'm not even sure like what it does for you, but I just know that that's ridiculous. And so when you have 7 women run 52 seconds or faster, at the end of the day, like, again, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I like it. You know, I feel like Will Ferrell. Like, I don't even know what that means, but it's provocative.
I'll tell you what it means. With the rule changes, what it means is if they feel like it, USC women can go to NCAA's, run 4 girls in the prelims and not even sweat it, and come back with 4 whole new girls in the finals. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
or bring up, I don't remember if it was Carla Leroy, putting 2 relays
Which
at
is
nationals.
not a rule. And in this example, we're all happy that it's not.
Right? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah. I will say this, like I've thought that through, right? It would be way more difficult than people think. It's not just the 8 people, because in order to actually have the integrity of the event, they would literally have to be separate pods. So if you had a group of 4 and a group of 4, you could never exchange one from group A to B and vice versa, unless you were willing to eliminate that group. So like if you had to take one from your B team and put them on A, you'd have to eliminate B from the meet. But if you wanted to keep A and B separate, they would have to have their own separate alternate pools.
Yeah,
So you would really actually need to have 12.
I don't think I agree with that though. So oh no, seriously.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Lamar has a 38-5 team and a 39 flat team.
Yes.
Okay, so 2 weeks before NCAA's, number 5 has eclipsed number 4, and you gonna swap them. Why do I gotta disqualify the teams?
Because otherwise, what happens is you go to nationals with 1 super team as opposed to 2 teams, and you eliminate a team from coming. That's, to me, look, if I'm going to be good, if I'm going to vote for you to be allowed to have 2 relays, which I actually don't think is a bad idea, I need them to be separated. It's not a super pool. You can't show up to the meet with 10 possible people to run for 1 relay.
But you can do that now with 1 relay.
Correct, but you can't displace another team by doing it.
But you're not.
You see my issue?
But no, there is an issue. But hold on a second. I hear you, but you're wrong. Because if you're allowed 2 teams to qualify and your 2 teams qualified, you didn't displace anybody. Right. You got your 2 teams. So you're wrong. And the way the relay thing is set up, the school qualifies. So anybody on your roster can run either under the relay. So, yeah.
Because they had to change that rule, because remember that didn't used to be. Right. We all thought that was crazy.
A good change. That was a good change.
That was a good change.
Should belong to the university.
Yeah. But back to the track. Back, there was also some very good distance performances on the track this weekend.
Yes. So I found that to be really interesting. And I wonder, it's obviously born out of COVID, but I wonder what it's going to mean moving forward, because we all know on a normal calendar year, there's certain meets where people, if they can afford it, would like to sprint a Texas Relays, a Florida Relays. Well, forever, Stanford Invitational has always been the premier outdoor spot for people to show up and run distance races. But now with the Cathedral opening, Oregon said, we're going to do our own thing and put up a hellacious distance meet. Hayward Premier, which I can't imagine is going away anytime soon. And in a couple of weeks, they're going to have another meet similar to that that's structured specifically for distance runners and throwers that they're calling the West Coast Classic. I think that kind of dynamic is here to stay. And the Hayward Premier, as far as the West Coast is concerned, the Hayward Premier was the track meet to be at on the West this week. Just like the Florida Relays reset all the sprint marks, the Hayward Premier destroyed the distance side. I mean, take your pick. It was phenomenal meet.
And I think what you're going to see if this trend continues for smaller meets, at least for another year or so, what it does is forces other people, to not just depend on Texas and Florida and even Eugene. It forces people to have meets because they have to, because everybody just can't go flock, come to Gainesville and have 100 teams here. There was only 13 teams here, including ourselves. But you look around and there were some smaller meets, up and down the East Coast where people actually did some pretty quality things. So I think as we move forward, we'll see more of that. I really hope that we'll get to have a few more teams next year, Florida Relays, than we did this year. But I don't see us going back to the max right away.
I know I'm a fan of this. I believe you guys have articulated that you're a fan of this as well. You'll never hear me say that the whole outdoor schedule regular season should be, dual meets, but there are certain meets that I just like to see. And Texas versus Texas A&M is dope. And I hope they continue to do that because I think a lot of the fans in that particular region of the country want to see that kind of matchup. And there were some really, really nice performances, that came out of that meet. So, certain people should just line up and race once a year. And Texas and Texas A&M did that, and I thought that was cool to see.
At that meet specifically, Miss Mo ran a 15 and ran it very quickly. I mean,
what was the mark?
Like 4:16. That is her 5th school record.
Forget the school record. 4:16, 148. I mean, 158.40, 50 point. I mean, my goodness, that child right there is nuts.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, her spectrum is large. Large.
Makes you think that like there might not be anything she can't do.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I think we're starting to anxiously await the Matt Boland show. He hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to pop up here soon. And then there was also a little meet down in Baton Rouge where the Ncaa indoor champion 400 ran 20.2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And maybe the most interesting result of the weekend when Mr. Sean Burrell ran 50.8 in the 400 hurdles.
You know what? My most interesting result, because it's not like the girl can't run, we all know she can, but it was really nice to see Aaliyah Hobbs very quietly dropped a little 10-9 out there in Baton Rouge this weekend.
Yep.
Given everything that she's been through and coming off of, I think it was a surgery. I mean, that's good to see. Because the women's 100-meter field is still wide the hell open, and we don't know who's going to pop out or what. But in that particular event, the event's better if Aaliyah Hobbs is herself. And obviously that was a great performance. Briscoe was right behind her, 11-0. And then, of course, back to the USC show. I mean, we got to shout out TT Terry for her 11-0 opener. Has separated herself from the field thus far. So that was very cool to see.
I mean, let's be clear. And I mean, this is no disrespect. It's TT Terry, and it wouldn't matter if she ran 10.89. She's not going to strike fear in the people that she's actually going to race in the 100-meter final with anything she does before the 100-meter final.
Say that again. I don't think I understand what you said.
I don't think she can change who she is in other people's minds with anything she does. Does that make sense? Like the folks who are afraid of her, they're already afraid of her. The folks who aren't. It doesn't matter what she runs. I think most of the people who are going to be in the 100-meter final are not surprised at all she ran 11-0. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm not surprised she ran 11-0. She's run, but it's still kind of early.
I mean, it is, but I don't know, man. I think the new landscape of track, especially look, COVID has like changed all of our perspectives on the when fast marks are supposed to happen in the calendar thought, right? Because I think everybody treats every one of these track meets as if it might be their last, because you never know when a positive COVID test will pop up, or when we all get shut down, or any of that. So I feel like everybody's pretty much going at it, right? And then you get the mark on the board, and then you can, shut it down, sit down, do whatever it is you need. You have freedom. So, hence 1981, 2010, 11-0 in week ones. Right? I don't think any.
Here's my thing. I think that happened. Like the Texas relay thing happened because it wasn't the relays. Mm-hmm. Because if there is the regular relay meet, he probably just runs a 4x2. He doesn't run open 2-1. I think it's happening more because we're running more open events, because there are a bunch of relay meets, and because everybody's still fairly fresh from the indoor season. I don't think the fear of COVID is nearly as strong as it was in the beginning of indoor season. No, especially with the vaccine being rolled out and the most people participating in that rollout. I think more what you're seeing is just an extension of the indoor season, and TT Terry runs 11 flat every year first meet. So I don't know why anybody's surprised at that. So
He said it better than I was trying to say it. She runs 11 flat every year at the beginning of the year. Nobody's surprised by this.
All right. Well, let's talk about another current event. It affects Mr. Clyde directly in those he will put into his squads. But according to the California Interscholastic Federation, their qualifying standards go that they have to make a certain route. They have to take a certain path in order to get to their state meet. Now, some of these sections, so what some people would call regionals, depending on the state and location, have already stated they're not going to hold their regional sectional meets, which then excludes some of the top region sections from getting to state. So athletes will not be able to get to state. What are your thoughts on this?
Mr. Clyde, definitely start us off, Mr. Clyde.
Okay. Now, I'm usually in a position where I'm praising the decisions that go on in my state. We usually do things very well. I'm going to try really hard to stay as calm as possible on this particular issue. For those that don't fully grasp how this works, California is the only state, well, not the only state, but one of the very few states in the nation where we have a true state championship. We're the most populous state, but there is only one state champion. There's not sections. There's not, the 5A champ and the 4A champ and the 2A champ. No. You have to line up and be the California state champion in every event. In order to do that, to keep this simple, the state meet is usually the first weekend in June. Now, because of COVID, it's currently pushed to be scheduled for June 25th and 26th. So they've already taken COVID protocols and pushed the state meet basically back a month. And that's cool. And my understanding was the reason that they did that is because to give time for all the athletes, because California, for example, moved football to the spring because of COVID. So they pushed the state meet further back to give everybody more time to prepare. I'm not exactly sure how many sections there are, but in order to qualify for the state, you have to go to your section finals and place in the appropriate position. The biggest section is the southern section, which is everywhere that is not Los Angeles proper. Up north, you have the NCS, the Sac Joaquin, which covers Sacramento and the Stockton area, and then everything above that is called the northern section. I don't know who the leadership of those sections are. I don't know who the people are that make those decisions, but these clowns have decided we're just not going to have sections. Because why? I don't know. And if there are no sections, then there are no qualifiers to the state meet. So all these kids that missed the state championships last year, legitimately due to COVID, are now being told, oh, we just don't feel like having a section championship this year. So, get your meets in and go on about your business. It is just blatantly disrespectful. It is maddening. I don't know why it's being done so silently. Like, I don't know why everybody's hair isn't on fire and people are not picketing in the street over this. Like, this is ridiculous. And there's no legitimate COVID reason for it to happen. The vaccines are rolling out, and every corner of this country now, corner to corner, they're having track meets. We're the lowest risk sport there is. I don't care if you make the kids get out there and race in masks. There's no reason to be doing this to these kids. You're talking about scholarship opportunities. You're talking about just taking something away from these kids out of what all I can gather is laziness. And that is just blatantly disrespectful. And I can't believe there's not more people screaming about it. So if you're on the West Coast and you deal with high school kids or club kids or whatever, man, pick up the phone, blow up somebody's cell phones. I don't know who these people are that are making these calls, but this is nuts.
So, Lucious, would you like to take a stab, or would you like me to go? So my feelings about this are, duplicates to Clyde, but my thoughts on it are a little different. I think the reason people are picketing and jumping up and down and throwing a tantrum is because I think usually in California, to your point about usually making good decisions, usually in California, no matter what the start is, cooler and more evolved heads prevail. And my guess is because we're not even anywhere near there yet, nobody really thinks that this isn't going to be repealed and changed. That's my guess. I'm not saying I think that, but my guess for why nobody's jumping up and down and going crazy, when you think about it, right? The Sac Joaquin section is literally as close to the decision makers as humanly possible, because all decisions for California get made in Sacramento. So I would say this: Sacramento is a great track and field town, and the Sac Joaquin section is highly respected, and there's a lot of coaching legacy in that group. If I was a betting man, I would bet money on the fact that that is going to get repealed and changed. That's just my own personal thought as to why nobody's jumping up and down. If it doesn't, you can take the words that you just used and pull them out of my mouth, because that would be ridiculous.
I really want to hear what Lucious has to say, but let me just tell you, I was alerted to this because I was on a phone call of a kid who we're trying to recruit from the Sac Joaquin section. And I asked him how his prep for state was going. And he said, and I quote, "Well, it kind of sucks because there is no state meet this year." And I said, "Excuse me?" "Yes, there is. I know the dates." He's like, "Nah, coach, they canceled the state meet." I'm like, "Dude, no, that's not a thing. I'll pull it up." And in my search for the information, I found this mess. Not that the state meet is canceled, his section is canceled.
His section.
It communicated to him that his season has no end. So I hope you're right, but real people in real time, actual kids, believe there's nothing to train for.
That's bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know enough about it to raise a big stink, but that definitely sounds like it's an awful thing. I agree that when you're going to 2 years now in a row, the first one, yeah, had to do it. I think somebody out there's got to find a way to make it work. I hope that Lamar is right, and that there's some cooler heads will prevail, and they will appeal this decision and allow these young people to compete. If they don't, then it's truly just sad, because it's just being lazy, in my opinion.
Like, you just gonna let the middle and Southern California just gonna be at the state meet by themselves? Like, I can't even get my brain around it. Like, why would you put that in print? Why would you step out and even say that? Like, if it was gonna be wait and see, then just shut up. Don't put that out in the press like that.
I mean, if that happens, like, I know Sir Lucious doesn't know the California landscape like we do, but like, if you only have NorCal, SoCal, Central Section, and San Diego, like the track meet is missing a gigantic piece. You're literally missing a gigantic piece. And I just find it hard to believe that that the meet will actually go off without them. But I mean, look, crazier things have happened.
All right, I'm gonna
Hey,
pause.
we ran indoor track and cross country in a 48-hour period, bro.
Exactly. So like crazier things have already happened.
Yeah.
Right? There was no high school football in California this year.
Oh, but they playing it right now.
Absolutely.
So we can play high school football, but the Sac Joaquin and the NCS can't run a track meet.
Mhm.
Can you imagine, like, I mean, just when I don't want to get us derailed, but just thinking about that, right? California I would say California and Florida probably have the most dual football track guys.
Sure.
And I want you to imagine, like, you're put in a situation where football is during track season. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like, it's good for them to get to play football, but that's terrible. You know, like, can you imagine that, Lucious?
Nope.
In Florida, we're like, okay, we move football to the spring. So now football and track compete against each other. I mean, there's like whole programs that don't exist.
Yeah, that was always an issue for a while because spring football, you know.
Mhm.
So you had to survive that 2-week monster, and then hope that either they wouldn't take the athletes, or if they took them, they wouldn't get them all broke up. So.
So
Man.
to the viewership, somebody let us know who's in charge of these sections.
I used to know who the commissioner of the NCS. I know his assistant. I know that for NCS, but I mean, I'll say just having the footing that I had coaching in the NCS, there are a lot of those coaches who are not happy right now, and they're talking about it. And as a group, they were up in arms for sports and athletics to happen in general. This conversation has been a little bit lighter, but I would imagine that it's going to come up, or they're just not rolling over, but being happy that they're able to participate as they are right now. But I know that that can't be a silent thought as well. So,
I mean, you're talking about having a state meet without the Bay Area and without the Sacramento area. So to explain it to Sir Lucious, that's like having the Florida State meet without the Miami area and without pick another really good area.
Go.
Right.
I get that.
You know
part.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like you have this track meet and you're like, but I'm not sure who's like, what is this? You know?
well,
Craziness.
let's talk about a more attractive part of competition right now. Everybody dig into their Rolodexes. Hopefully you all know what that is. Our listening people. I know the tiles know what it is. And let's think about the best track meet, so actual competition in the world, non-Olympic or world championships, and why is it the best?
I'm definitely not going first on that one.
I would like to go. I would like to go last, but if not, I'll go first.
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, for me, it's the SEC championships. Not even close for me. I actually enjoy the SEC meet more than I enjoy the Olympic Games. You know,
Wow.
I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in the SEC. It's just different. No, it's not. Well, first of all, we're not even going to go down there because it is the best conference meet. So I don't want to talk about that. So you ran in the Pac-12 and you ran the SEC meet. Huge difference. You know that. I mean, but it's just, you know, you can come to the SEC meet and you just see absolutely ridiculous things. And if the meet opens up with a great 4x1, and it just rolls the rest of the way. And it's like everybody's got an attitude, everybody's got a chip on their shoulder, everybody's working hard, everybody's trying to get it done, and it just rolls all day long. And I mean, just witness the show you saw this year at the SEC Indoor Championships. Anybody that thinks the outdoor meet's going to be any different is going to be even crazier. You know? So for me, you know, for my money, if I got to pick a meet that I can go to, just let me know where the SEC meet is, and especially if it's in warm weather, I'm showing up.
Is there cold weather in the SEC?
Oh yeah,
Missouri.
Yes, there is.
Missouri for sure. Tennessee sometimes.
Yeah, well, Missouri for sure. Kentucky can be cold.
Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say 30% of the time, but yes, for sure.
Well, see,
I guess
it's like this. Okay, so and you only get to meet it once every 14 years now, right? So when my man Edric was at Kentucky, and the SEC meet came there, was like, and he asked me something. I said, "I want you to take a picture of your school records, maybe not your school records, but of your track records. They're about to be obliterated." And that's what happens. You know, like you just the SEC comes in and it just wipes it out. You know.
Got it. I think in my head no, I guess it would be cold at some of those schools, even at conference outdoors.
Yeah, I mean, and the only time we've been really cold at conference was the Missouri's first year in the league, and it wasn't cold all 3 days. Just one of the days it was a little chilly, but generally what we get thunderstorms. That's what no matter where we are, we're going to get those. And so we get thunderstorms every place else. You get a little chilly in Kentucky and Missouri, but when the meet was in Kentucky, it was phenomenal. Like the weather was great. You know, we had no problems. We had great performances. I think that was a meet that Olivia Ekman, they lost her mind and ran like 11:10 and 22:20 or something, 22:28 or something crazy. You know, so it's great
You
competition.
get a thunderstorm, it just turns into a sauna anyway, so it's fine.
Exactly. like the year we were in Mississippi State, the meet kept getting delayed, and so the tournament people were actually walking out, you know, lighting in the area. They walk back in. They delayed the meet for like 40 minutes. They come back out. My girl KJ runs 22.2 and my man Dukes runs 19.9. Didn't phase people at all.
Not phased. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, Lamar said he wanted to go last, so I guess that means I have to go.
EP has spoken.
Right. Listen, as an SEC alumni, the SEC made my Final Five. It was on the consideration. It was in there. It was in there. For all the reasons that Sir Lucious laid out. I think, you know, top to bottom, as far as a conference meet is concerned, you can usually book that the SEC is going to have the best overall performances top to bottom every year. Pac-12 is close, but top to bottom, there's more depth in the SEC year to year. But for me, I couldn't put a conference championship above either of the NCAA championships. So the NCAA indoor meet for me is on my list, but the outdoor meet, you know, track and field is an outdoor sport. I cannot remember ever being disappointed one time at an NCAA outdoor championship. So if you look at it in the context of how our industry, you know, rates and ranks track meets, this is some nerd stuff for you. You can go on the World Athletics site and you can, you know, see how rankings for meets play out. But magically, if you take the raw performances of the NCAA meet any given year, it's on par, if not better than any of the diamond leagues on the planet. Yet the distinction, the grade that it gets is like 4 or 5, 6 places lower than those levels of competition, which definitely has a political money slant to it and is wrong and should be changed. So I think for me, it's the NCAA Outdoor Championships. From a global perspective, it is a disrespected, absolutely elite world-class event every single year. And that's not going to change anytime soon. However, and I would like to get my colleagues' perspective on this. I'm like, the question was non-Olympics and world champ. I'm like, my final three, it came down to the NCAA outdoors, which is where I landed. And then Monaco and London for me on the Diamond League circuit were the other two. There's something special about both of those places. I've been lucky enough to go. And those places are the places that have left an impression on me as far as what global track and field should look like. And great experiences, for both of those. But for me, it's the NCAA outdoors.
I like it. I like it a lot. I love the answers so far. I really do. So for me, taking a fully global approach to all of this, I land on two meets. One, the most difficult meet in the world to get into, which is the NCAA Indoor Championship. And literally have never been disappointed, ever. Period. Right? And I've been a fan of the NCAA indoor meet longer than the outdoor meet, because I remember when the indoor meet was like in Oklahoma City and they ran all boards, and I'm old. Those were great. You know what I mean? That's back in the day when they used to run the 300 at the NCAA meet. They used to run the 500 at the NCAA meet. Right? Those were great. But I landed on, as hard as it is for me to go against the NCAA indoor meet, I landed on the Weltklasse meet in Zurich. And the reason for this is not the fact that the meet has had the most world records set, not because of their gigantic budget, it's always the best Diamond League meet, but because it's the only meet on the planet that I think is actually a professional track meet. When you watch the Zurich meet in person or watch it on television, you feel like you're watching an NFL football game or an NBA championship, meaning there are stories and fanfare about everybody who is in the meet. There's a tremendous amount of money on the line. There's usually highly decorated fields. And at the end of the day, like, the whole reason that the series is now called the Diamond League and not the Golden League is because Zurich, for the better part of 40 years, has been giving out a big ass diamond to anybody who sets a world record at the meet. Like, we're not talking about diamond dust. Like, we talk, like, this is real live equity. And if you've ever been, or you ever like watch it like a fan, like not like a coach, like that's the hard part for all of us. Like, sometimes we watch track meets like coaches, right? But if you ever just watch it like a fan, like if I sat my mom in front of all the track meets in the world and had her watch them all, she would be the one glued to Zurich because it looks so sparkly and they make a big deal of it, if that makes any sense. Like, in my opinion, if professional track was the way I was wanting to design it, all the meets would be at the Zurich level or even better, right? Everybody would get treated like the rock star that they are. Why do I say they're rock stars? We've been jaded in our sport sometimes to, like, we see our sport through track and field eyes. Like, when somebody's 14th or 15th in the world, what do all of us think? Oh, that's pretty good, right? But just think about that. If you're 14th in the world in baseball, like, you've probably signed a contract for more than $100 million.
Oh, easy. I
can tell you, if you're 14th or 15th in the world in golf or tennis, you've been a millionaire since you were a teenager. If you're 14th or 15th in the world in the NFL, you're an all-pro. If you do that for 4 or 5 years in a row, you're probably a Hall of Famer, right? If you're 14th or 15th best soccer player in the world, we probably don't know your name, and you also have been a millionaire since you were a teenager. So our sport is global like soccer, right? it's exciting like all the other sports I just mentioned, and more exciting than some, but for some reason, we still run the best people in the world for $60,000 for a world championship, right? Like we treat ourselves like the JV, but the product is way better than the pay, right? If you're top 20 in the world at anything, like everybody should know your name. You're top 20 in the world, not top 20 in Gainesville. That still makes you pretty good, but top 20 in the world, right? But we're all so jaded because we become, because our sport is so elite, we become such elitists. Like, look, in this country, we put up a billboard, in the 96 Olympics, during the Olympics, that said second place is the first loser. Hello? That's second in the world, right? And so I guess for me, it becomes Zurich, if for no other reason, it's the only meet where everybody in the meet, the 8 who are in the final, all get treated with respect, right? If you get 8th at Zurich, you still were 8th at Zurich, not 8th at the Come On Invitational. So I guess, like I said, I'm not going to hedge my answers. I know the NCAA indoor meet's the hardest meet to get into in the world, including the Olympics. But the Zurich meet is the one where the sport gets treated the best. It's the one we do the best job with the best that we have.
I like it.
Nice. Hope everyone wrote those down so you can further either investigate or experience them at some point if you have not already. So,
I mean, Zurich has to be on your bucket list if you're a track fan. If you don't go once, you're making a mistake.
If you go once, you will go back.
Those are facts.
And the reason I picked Monaco and London and not Zurich, I actually haven't had the chance to go there yet. So I couldn't say that. But I think you convinced me.
All the good stuff about Monaco is even better at Zurich, and the track meet's much better.
So we're all buying plane tickets. Got it. We're going to be recording on location.
Zurich, Switzerland in the summertime is a fun place to be.
Oh man. All right. Well, we cannot ignore, this topic. We built it up by building our own brackets, deciding who was going to be in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, and then who we were going to see in the end. And man, it was rough, real rough. But I'll say, and the one we did not in depth speak about the women's championship game, but we can't ignore that game either. So of course I've alluded to, but now announced halfway. Let's talk about the NCAA championship games for basketball.
Women first, right?
Sure.
I didn't get a chance to see the entire women's game. I saw a lot of the highlights, but first of all, shout out to the Pac-12. I'll do that before my Clyde coming with that hard here in a minute. But I mean, phenomenal game, 2 phenomenal teams. It came down to the last second, and I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was the ladies throughout the tournament ignored the noise outside, and they put a great product on the court and played well every single game. And the championship game was no different. So kudos to Stanford for their win, and kudos to Arizona for their hard play.
Lamar,
We'll let Clyde go last because he's the Pac-12 representative.
Yes,
that's fine.
I was looking something up because this is really important to me, and I wanted to make sure I pronounced it right. I'm not a humongous women's basketball fan, but I am when it comes to the tournament. Every year I watch the tournament. That's just how it is. And this year's women's tournament was awesome because it had something that it doesn't usually have, which is parity, right? People got to learn new women's basketball programs' names. I think a lot of people didn't know Arizona had a women's basketball program until this year. You know what I mean? Because the men have been so good and the women haven't. And that brings me to my point. Adia Barnes might be the most important person in women's basketball. She's a woman of color. She was a really good player. She's taken a program. This is something that nobody's done really since Gino Auriemma, right? She's taken a program that existed before she got there that was bad and made it elite. And she's a working mom who had to pump breast milk during the halftime of the national championship game, and then was out there coaching her ass off till the end. When her point guard, who can't go right, tried to fake going right to go back left, and they locked her up, and she ended up throwing up that garbage, and it almost went in. My eyes locked to Adia Barnes and what she did next, and I thought it was one of the greatest coaching things I've ever seen. She ran right out on the court, grabbed the girl, and then grabbed all her girls to come over and celebrate that moment and the fact that they were in the national championship and they were one shot away from winning it, as opposed to doing what we all do. Like, if we don't win, like, everybody's a loser, right? She celebrated the fact that for the University of Arizona women's basketball, like, all those girls are Hall of Famers in that program. Like, no, Arizona women's basketball they're so far ahead of any place they've ever been, right? That, like, literally we're talking like they're postage stamps at this point as far as women's basketball is concerned in Arizona. And what I thought was most awesome was it was the definition of old school versus new school. Like, Tara Vanderveer was a women's basketball coach at Stanford when I was in college. Right? Like, when I met her, she had all black hair. She didn't need them glasses, if that makes any sense, right? Like, she has taken a full year of sabbatical from coaching away because she was tired and had to come back. She's coached Olympic teams, right? So she's like literally iconic. She goes in that same category as Gino Auriemma and Pat Head Summit. And then the new buck brings her squad to the national championship. And I thought, like, this has never happened in women's basketball, right? It's always blue bloods. It's always blue bloods that play for the national championship.
Can I throw a little caveat into what you're saying here?
For sure.
I want you to quit dissing my girl Dawn Staley because she did the same as
okay. I was going there next.
It's too late because you went all of this. This girl was the first one that ever did it, and the breast milk and all that stuff.
Okay, but that, first of all,
but Dawn Staley did the exact same thing, minus the breast milk, at South Carolina.
I completely agree, but here's the difference. Dawn Staley was a superstar in the basketball community before listen to me though. As soon as Dawn Staley took a job, it became a place to go. Because who wouldn't want to play for the best point guard to ever play in USA basketball?
Okay.
Did you know who Adia Barnes was?
That's not the point. The point of your conversation
it is the point.
Was she took a program that was horrible and turned it into a national power. So I apologize. I apologize. Please continue.
The point I'm trying to make about Adia Barnes is she took a program from nowhere, being coached in theory by no one, right? It's no surprise to anybody. Look, Dawn Staley is literally my favorite women's basketball player ever. So trust me, I'm on that bandwagon, right? But she was Dawn Staley before she ever started coaching. Like, nobody knew who Adia Barnes was before she coached at Arizona. And I just thought it was an awesome moment for women's basketball that literally we got growth, we got parity, we got reasons for the casual fan to watch. And I thought it was awesome. And the game was tremendous. The game was tremendous. All kinds of back and forths. There was a whole lot of coaching. I mean, I think we all agree that beating the same team 3 times in 1 year is really hard to do. So that was my soapbox, but I liked the game a lot. It was fun.
Listen,
shout out to Dawn Staley.
I've never been so thankful for a women's basketball tournament as I was this year. The women's basketball, everything that Lamar just said is right on point. I agree with him. And props to Tara Vanderveer and Stanford. I'm Cal. That's our rival. But You got to stand up and applaud that. Much props to Stanford. However, the star of the women's basketball tournament is Adia Barnes. No doubt, hands down, it's not even close. And because Lamar said everything I was gonna say, I can skip that part and get to the one thing he didn't say, which was my favorite Adia Barnes moment of the tournament. It wasn't after they lost the game to Stanford. It was after they won the Final Four matchup. This woman pulled her team to the middle of the court, and being her 100% authentic self, you can't hear it because there's no audio, but what she said and what she did was gave a middle finger to everybody that said that they couldn't do it. And she said it to her kids, and it was real, and it was brilliant. And then some clowns, after the fact, have the nerve to ask her if she felt like she needed to apologize for her gesture on national TV. And she gave the most eloquent FOH you ever gonna hear in your life.
Yes, she did.
That woman is everything that is right about coaching. And the fact that she was doing the job she was meant to do, the way she was doing it, and the fact that she was unapologetic for it, I wish all of us had the freedom and the space and the opportunity to do that. Because too many people in that moment would have said, hey, yeah, I probably should apologize because, I don't want to get the PR or I don't want to have to. No, be real. Like, that was so real. And I loved everything about that. Like, I am a fan of that woman after watching her entire performance in this tournament. And win, lose, or draw, the star of the women's basketball tournament is absolutely Adia Barnes and the University of Arizona women's basketball team. So thank you, ladies, and a great show under, how it started, all the disrespect and all that other stuff. Great show, great ending, great game.
Let's reverse the order and talk about the men's game.
Do we have to talk about the men? Listen.
Absolutely.
Listen. The men's tournament was entertaining, but it was a mess. I don't think I've ever been more wrong about a thing in sports ever. It was.
We have noticed there's no medal out tonight. We've noticed that.
No. Listen, none of us are in a position to be bragging about our predictions. Not a one. But as far as LLC is concerned, I believe the winner is Lucious because he had 3 of the 4 in the Final Four called correctly. So I have to now give up my LLC undefeated crown, and I will gladly do it over this mess because, my God.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Ridiculous. As far as the championship game is concerned, listen, in a similar way, but for very different reasons, Baylor deserves all the respect in the world. They came out there and just destroyed Gonzaga. There wasn't one part of that game that was close. It wasn't competitive. It wasn't fun to watch unless you're from Waco, Texas. Like, it was a bad basketball game to watch, even though Baylor played brilliantly. They choked the life out of Gonzaga, and they deserve all the respect that comes with a national championship win. But the story of the tournament is still Gonzaga. Gonzaga was chasing immortality. I don't think basketball, like, people who are casual basketball fans, like, don't really understand that. I said it before. They were chasing Bobby Knight's Indiana, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, John Wooden's UCLA, Bill Walton's John Wooden's UCLA, and my favorite, Bill Russell's USF Dons. College basketball immortality, this little school up in the Northwest. They were chasing that, and they came up short. And 20 years from now, what you're going to remember about this basketball season is COVID and that Gonzaga came up short. Like, Baylor's not the story. And that's not being disrespectful. It's just true. The semifinal game, the Final Four game, top 3 college basketball game I've ever seen in my life, UCLA and Gonzaga. It had everything you want to see in college basketball, including the epic buzzer beater. And how could you follow that up and win a national championship. I don't know why so many people didn't see that coming. I was one of them. I was still like, yeah, they'll beat Baylor. Not even close. So very anticlimactic, ridiculous on the picks. But at the end of the day, just like the women's game, the losers of the championship game are the story. And, both teams should be proud of the seasons that they had. We should never.
Well, I'm going to defer to the champion, let him go last. So I'll say this, right? Like, I've been a basketball guy all my life, and I think I know a lot about basketball. So I knew the assessment of the championship game was the best coached team with the best scheme versus the most athletic team maybe on the planet. And I've seen that narrative a lot of times at high school, college, never at the pro level because, they're all pros. And that game always plays out one of two ways. It's either epic and super duper tight and ends at the end, or it's a blowout. I turned the game on, it was 9-1. And I said to the person sitting next to me, the game's over. He just looks at me. I was like, listen to me. The game is over. Because in those scenarios, the team with the scheme is always good at the counterpunch. But if the team that's super athletic came to play and they're willing to own every 50-50 ball, there's no air to breathe. And that is exactly what happened at Gonzaga. Like, you can't play perfect basketball. And they would have had to play perfect basketball and get lucky to beat Baylor that night, because they literally came out the locker room and was like in those dudes' faces every inch of the floor for all 40 minutes of the game, right? Like, this is going to be ugly and not going to be fun. And you thought that's what you just faced at UCLA. We're better at that than they are, and we have more of those than they did. So at the end of the day, this is going to be like your first night in jail. And that is exactly what happened. Like, Baylor literally deboed those poor dudes. It's unfortunate because, like I said, I've seen it happen before. And I've seen both sides of that pendulum win. But when it comes out this way, you know it early, and you're like, this is going to be bad. Like, if there was a towel, you would want to throw it in early and say, stop the fight. Because I knew at 9-1, this was going to be an absolute beat down. And it was. At no point in time that, Gonzaga was like bobbing for air, drowning in a pool. You know what I mean? Like, at no point in time did they have any ounce of comfort, breathing through a straw. Like, it was awful. And the Baylor kids knew it. They knew it in the first 5 minutes. Like, oh, it's on tonight, boys. I mean, with 10 minutes to go, the dudes on the Baylor sideline were laughing, because that's what you do when you got somebody beat. And it wasn't unfortunate, right? I mean, I don't feel sorry for anybody. Look, Gonzaga has a great team and a great program, and they're already favored to win next year. And unless somebody comes with a team that's built like Baylor, I mean, you're probably going to lose, right? Because that machine's pretty well oiled. But man, I think that if you ask Mark Few in the quiet of his own home, who was the only team in the entire country they didn't want to play after like week 8, because remember what did Baylor start the season? 21-0, right? They started out the season. They were the last team to lose.
To play each other during the regular season, and COVID canceled that game on Baylor's side.
Right. If you ask Mark Few at that point, who is the one team in the country you don't want to play for the national championship, he for sure would have said Baylor. So it was just not good.
I think you guys have said it all. I mean, first of all, shout out to Gonzaga and what they did. Phenomenal job, phenomenal coaching, phenomenal playing. I had the opportunity to actually watch Baylor. They came here and beat up on the Gators back in 2020 before COVID hit. And I knew they were good. I watched them early in the season, and they kind of had a little bit of a lull. But I'm telling you, after I watched them do what they did to Houston, I was like, oh boy. Anybody's got Gonzaga's got a problem. And I, like you, when I saw the score was 9-1, I'm like, it's over. And somewhere Mr. Nolan Richardson is smiling, saying that's how you're supposed to play basketball.
Absolutely.
That was totally, they got in their jerseys from moment one, and they never got out to the last horn. And it was just phenomenal athleticism, phenomenal pride, passion, desire, all those words you use. But in Gonzaga just had no answer. You know, it was kind of like watching the national championship football game all over again, wasn't it? Ohio State just had no answer for Alabama. So, you know, so a phenomenal job by the Baylor Bears, you know.
You know, you can't win those games, right? When like the most athletic team you've ever faced shows up ready to play defense the whole game, you got no shot. When it's like, we don't need to run offensive sets. We're just going to rebound and steal the ball from you and score. Like, that's horrible. I've coached against that before. That's terrible. As a basketball coach, that's the worst team you can ever play when they're playing well. Because you're like, listen, I don't have 5 kids that can stand up to this.
And draining threes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Steph Curry may as well have been on the court.
Look, you want to know why they were making them? Because at no point in time were they concerned with what happened if they miss. Because every rebound was theirs. Every loose ball was theirs. And at that point in time, if everyone on this panel has been a basketball player. When you're shooting in rhythm without fear, the basket is the size of a house. You can close your eyes and flick it like this. It's going in, right? We all know what that feeling feels like. And Baylor, look, I'm telling you, when it was 9-1, the Baylor dudes were like, let's ride. Like, it was over.
I put on the news at like 19-4 or whatever it was. I turned on the news.
When the Final Four, the 2 Final Four games happened, I was like, man, I really wish I could change my pick because there's no way Gonzaga is going to beat Baylor. You know what I mean? Like, it's like one of those things. It's like I felt the same way Lucious did. When I watched Baylor dismantle, mind you, Houston's probably the second most athletically gifted team in the country. Mm-hmm. And Baylor deboed them. I was like, oh, Gonzaga's got a problem. Because skill and finesse is not going to beat this monster.
Did you all hear the statistic that, or the fact that if not all 3 of the 4 coaches that were in the Final Four did not have collegiate playing experience?
No, didn't know that.
Something to that effect. If it wasn't all 4, it was 3 of the 4. It was over half. So I thought that was very interesting. That was very interesting. What?
Few Drew, what's my man's name? Is at UCLA that was at Cincinnati? I can't think of his name. And then Kelvin Sampson. I know Kelvin Sampson played. Huh. So wow.
Yeah.
And I know Drew's brother was a baller, but there you go.
Oh, too many clicks for me to actually get all of them. But anyways, so yeah, fun fact.
That bad at predicting anything ever again.
How many Final Four teams did you have right?
How many? I'm sorry.
How many Final Four teams did you have right?
1.
And then did you?
You should feel bad.
And so you only had 1 team in the final. Lucious, what was your Final Four? Final 2. We had the same Final 2, right? Mm-hmm. So we both picked the championship game. We just for sure picked the wrong team.
Yes.
That's fine. All right. Well, let's leave the foot off the throat and have a little bit of fun. Mr.
Right, that's the
what's that? I know, right? Sorry. I'll change it. But Mr. Clyde, you are currently seated in the best seat in the house because you are in rapid fire this evening. So.
Well, that's always debatable, but we'll see.
Well, it's not a winning seat for you this week, sir. So.
Hey, you know, it's hard to go lifetime undefeated. I did it for a year though.
Oh, here we go. Hey, do Lucious and I get to add? Do we get our add-on questions at the end?
Go ahead. I'm with it.
If you'd like to. You got the green light from the guest. So, all right. You ready, sir?
I am.
All right. From a previous rapid fire, you let us know that Italian is your food of choice, your genre of choice for food. What is your go-to authentic Italian dish?
Ooh. That would be what I call a TB special. It is a Parmesan cheese sauce over noodles with hot Italian sausage in it, and listen.
Simplicity.
Listen.
I like it. I'm coming over. All right. What is in your pockets on meet day?
One phone that I want, another phone that I absolutely do not want. Some possession of one of my female athletes on the team every single meet without fail, and a stopwatch that somehow I lose twice a meet.
That's funny. You should go check the parking lot. I hear there's some in the parking lot.
I find it by the end of the day, you know, it rallies. It appears by the time the 4x4 is coming around, but you know.
Yes, check the parking lot. Yes.
So your dream breakfast meal, who's it with and what are you eating?
I'll get unlimited guests.
Sure.
Nah,
I mean, it's breakfast, so I don't know how limited that can be. Not a lot of people eat breakfast.
nah, because you shouldn't even let me do that because I'm gonna give you way too many people. Honestly.
Okay, top 3.
Nah, I only need 2. Dream breakfast. Malcolm X, Barack Obama.
That's awesome.
That's who I want to be there.
Well, what are you eating? That's the important question.
I'm not eating anything. I'm talking. I'm not eating. I don't even care what they're serving. They serve me whatever.
Got it. So on this day that we're recording, 3 major baseball movies were premiered: Bad News Bears, Major League, and The Sandlot. Pick one.
Oh man, you know what? You mean the original Bad News Bears, right?
Yes.
That's the one for me. That's the one.
What did you collect as a kid growing up? Besides whoopings. Just kidding.
No. We didn't do that. I think my whole life, my mom put her hands on me like twice.
I was like, Miss Gina, you can let me know.
I did the baseball card thing for a little while. I wish I would have paid more attention to the money side of that. But honestly, I wasn't really into collecting stuff. Just never really did. Nah, I was playing way too many sports. Like, seriously.
So the answer is medals and ribbons, sir.
Oh, well, you know. Yeah. Not too many ribbons.
Help you out.
More like medals.
Yeah.
I'm not from the participation award, you know, part of the time. We didn't do all that.
All right. So something of your genre. He-Man or Skeletor?
Skeletor.
Like it. I didn't second guess that answer at all. You're on American Ninja Warrior. Do you conquer the warped wall?
Easily. I'm 6'3", and you know, out of shape. I feel like I can still get up the warped wall. I don't understand how these fake athletes can't get up the warped wall. I don't get it. The 2 shows I don't actually understand. I don't understand how American Ninja Warrior is that difficult, and Wipeout. Like, really? Like, people just clobbered on Wipeout.
Wipeout's back. I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen it yet. So anyways, you have survived, sir. Thank you for playing. Oh wait, just kidding. Did the other child have?
I definitely haven't survived.
I know, that was the warm up for you.
Sir Lucious, would you like to go first or second, sir?
Go ahead, sir. Help yourself.
Okay.
While they're figuring that out too, let me tell you, the show I want to be on, the show I've always wanted to be on, the show I still want to be on, MTV The Challenge. I want to be on that.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
All right. You have stated on multiple occasions that your favorite event is the 4x1.
Yes.
If you were the coach and you could put any 4 people on your 4x1, who are they and what legs do they run? You have 10 seconds to assemble this team.
It's men or women?
Men. I figure we're going to do both. So.
Oh my God, that's rapid fire. Sir,
Yeah,
that's
right. So men. That's why I picked one.
You ain't gonna get it.
Pick women because I know he's his first leg is.
Huh?
I said I wasn't going to pick women because one of the answers is obvious.
I mean, it is obvious. You put the goat where the goats go. But
like I said,
the men's, I can't do it in 10 seconds. There's no way I could do it in 10 seconds.
She said rapid fire, sir, not slow fire.
Yeah, shit. You're not going to get that fast at all. But we can move on to Lucious' question and get that fast, and I'll think about it.
My question is simple. You get a redo on any race that you competed in your career. Which race do you get? You get a redo. You're going to redo.
That's a good one.
My personal redo.
Yeah, any race for you that you competed in that you could get a redo on. Which one you take?
That's really funny because it literally hasn't changed my entire track life. The race that I want the redo in is actually from my very first season, midget boys 80-meter hurdles, Eugene, Oregon. I was going to destroy the national record, and I clipped the hurdle. I've never hit a hurdle before in my life. Clipped the hurdle, fell down, got up, and did not finish last. I wanted that record so bad. Like, it was the most important thing ever. And I had just learned how to hurdle. And the girl who was 3 years older than me was in the stands. And I was like, yo, watch me. I'm going to win this race. Like, everything in my life at that moment was about that race. And I failed. And I've always wanted that race back forever.
That's awesome.
That's pretty funny. That is awesome.
Yeah, I can't do your rapid fire fast. But the men is really hard. Like,
I know, that's why I asked it.
I mean,
that's not a rapid fire question. You're fired.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this.
You know what? I'm tired of taking shots from y'all.
Can I?
Okay, well then quit lobbing it up there for us to take a shot at you. Like,
Listen,
okay,
I'm not
you got
taking
10 seconds to name the all-time great 4x4, 4x1. No.
Right. I'm not taking responsibility for failing at this because that's not a rapid fire question. So EP, you get a do-over. Give me a rapid fire question and I'll get your all-time 4x1 next week.
Okay. You have one opportunity to woo whoever this mythical unicorn woman in the world is. What do you make?
What do I make? What do you mean?
Yeah, you're cooking. You're cooking in the kitchen, sir.
Oh God. If it's based on my cooking skills, I'm striking out all the way. I can't get Jada with my cooking skills. I can't do it. But I can get Jada.
You got to try. What are you going to cook?
I mean,
you can't make reservations. You got to make something.
You know what? I make lasagna pretty well. I'm gonna go with lasagna.
I like it.
Okay.
Whew. That was a rapid fire of a different nature, sir.
You did much better the second time around.
Okay, well, let's wrap the evening up and start off the new year with some great heartbeat props. I'll go first. Yesterday was National Student Athlete Day. So shout out to all the student athletes who allow us to do what we do and have the passion and the focus that we have day in and day out, because you allow us to be coaches. So I love every single one of you, every single one of the headaches that I've ever had in the 10 plus years that I've had coaching. I love you.
You're telling a tale. You don't love a headache. Stop it.
I do.
Nobody loves a headache. You don't.
I do. It's funny. I love them after they leave.
Away, but during that headache, you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this.
It's very true. Very true. But, you know, best wishes to you all, the ones who are former, the ones who are current, and the ones to be. Thank you. Keep being you, because without you, we are not us. So shout out to the student athletes.
I'll go next because mine is sincere but very simple. I spent the majority of my morning today on Zoom. I was invited to participate in a very, very dope event by Miss Veronica Alexander, who is part of the social welfare school here at Cal Berkeley. The Women in Athletic Development symposiums are going on today and tomorrow, and it's a fabulous event talking about an array of different issues that impact females in our sports world. A lot of great information, a lot of great conversations. and a lot of great panelists. And I'm honored for the invite, and I will definitely be back next year. So to Miss Veronica Alexander, who got me into this thing, I appreciate you. I know she doesn't watch the show, but if she ever sees this clip, I want to know that I'm having a ball during the symposium. I can't wait to go tomorrow.
Okay.
Go for it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give my heartbeat props to a guy that I know he does not watch the show, but I guarantee that his son does, unless he kicked us to the curb here right lately. I'm gonna give my heartbeat props to a guy that I can't remember being at a meeting at the University of Florida. He wasn't here. He was the head of our officials for a while. He's taken a step back, but he's still very active and involved. He's been a starter. He's worked about every area I can think of at our meets. But the great thing about him is he's always supportive. He's always thinking of ways for us to help us get better. And he wants to make sure that we have a great competition every time. He's always about the student athlete experience. And he's always funny when we get a little bit behind at the Florida relays. I'd walk up to him and go, "Hey man, we're behind like 10 minutes." And then 30 minutes later, we're ahead 10 minutes. I'm like, "How do you do that?" But so my heartbeat props go out to, Mr. Tony Tucson. And I appreciate you, man. And maybe Ethan will see this and show it to you, but I really appreciate everything you do for us here at the University of Florida in the Officials Association.
My heartbeat props is also simple. It's also a week late. I had planned on doing this on the 1-year anniversary show, and I messed it up. So mea culpa. But my heartbeat props goes in general to all of our significant others for tolerating the fact that we've taken over our family's Wednesday nights, and everything has to be built around it. And I guess specifically for me, my heartbeat props go to my loving wife, Miss Tamika, who has managed to be supportive of all of the craziness that we do in or around this show. And she does watch occasionally, not every, but she has watched some. And occasionally we get feedback. I get feedback that, we're doing better, or I don't know if you should have said that, or those kind of things. And I appreciate
you get that a lot, don't you?
I don't get that a lot. She knows who she married, so she expects most of these things. But in all honesty, I want to give my heartbeat props to my wife, and I'll say in general to all of our, all of Coach's significant others, because they're soldiers, right? And they were, in most cases, unwilling soldiers. They didn't know what they were signing up for when they decided to be with a track coach, and they deserve all of the attention and praise we can ever give them, because the better you are as a track coach, the more you work. And they're supportive of that. So not to run on, but my heartbeat props go to one is Tamika Huffins.
All right. Well, here we are. The end of episode 1, season 2.
Episode 1, season 2.
Parentheses, episode 53. But thank you. I know. The COVID year, so now it's season 1 or season 2.
You got to go season 2, episode 1. There you go.
Yeah, yep. I will.
Do it. That's
gonna be hard for me to break that. But it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me and the rest of our viewers and listeners at that. And other than that, have a great week. If you're traveling, safe travels. If you're competing, faster, farther, higher. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place, and we'll peel to go further. Hey, why Wally, Coyote is road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass or fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.